Lowe's December deal drops are here, just in time to give your home some love before holiday hosting. This week, get up to 35% off select major appliances. And members, save an additional $60 on the Maytag top-load laundry pair, now just $9.96. Plus, save up to $20 on select Moen kitchen and bathroom faucets. Shop December deal drops all month long. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/17. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details.
Kevin Harlan here. This Friday, the NBA on Prime crew is back with another thrilling NBA doubleheader. It tips off with Tyrese Maxey and the Sixers, taking on Jalen Brunson and the Knicks at the Garden. Then SGA and the champion Thunder visit Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. If you're not a Prime member, just sign up for a free 30-day trial. The Sixers and Knicks, the Thunder and Timberwolves. Coverage starts Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Need to restock inventory, cover seasonal dips, or manage payroll? OnDeck's small business line of credit provides immediate access to funds, up to $200,000, exactly when your business needs it. With flexible draws, transparent pricing, and full control over repayment, you can tackle unexpected expenses without missing a beat. Apply today at OnDeck.com, and funds could be available as soon as tomorrow. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank. OnDeck does not lend in North Dakota. All loans and amounts subject to lender approval.
Doesn't matter if you were an Indian or if you're a Warhawk.
The Uerlin mention is the greatest. You'd hope for the best as a Uerlin fan, but
this is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast with hosts Dusty Thibodeau and Chase Regent.
Chase, you always have such great insight.
Tibbs is going to bleep it all.
What are these guys always talking about?
We talk a lot about food on this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so.
Really, really appreciative of the people and the community and the way that they've backed us up.
Nailed the introduction, by the way. Awesome.
Thanks,
I love
Fish.
it.
We had a preview of women's basketball as they get ready to join the Sun Belt Conference race, opening up there against Arkansas State and Texas State. The men, they get to open up the conference race as well this week, but they get to do it at home. One of the hottest teams of the Sun Belt, South Alabama, comes into town on Wednesday before the rival Louisiana Lafayette Raging Cajuns come to Fayette Ewing. And once again, we have somebody that's on the front row, on the front seat, calling the games. He's beautifully bronzed after being on the South Beach for the last game out against Miami. The voice of the Warhawks, Mike Hammett, joins us. Mike, you look great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. They made sure to load up the bus and get us all to the beach and get us some time in the sun while we were there in Miami. But, the game wasn't what we wanted it to be. But at the same time, it was, I think, a great experience for everyone.
I think we both agree that the Miami game was take the scoreboard out of it. But just the play on the floor was a really good game overall. You can see this team kind of finally starting to click and gel together. But what else have we learned in this non-conference slate as we get ready to go into Sunbelt action?
I don't know what we can say that we have learned because it's been a different team at different stages, it feels like, for this group. I told you right before we came on, I felt like Saturday against Miami was maybe the best game this team has played, as crazy as that sounds, to give up 104 points and lose by 25. There were still a lot of things to like. And I think, the defense is going to come as it goes along. But to see the offense click, 15 3-pointers go in Saturday at Miami, to see how it flows, the matchup problems that Raynar Saunders creates when he's able to knock down a couple of threes and then he hits 4 in that ball game, that it pushes the big man away from the basket. It opens up the driving lanes for Christian Lewis and MJ Russell and Lavelle Broadnex even to go in there and do their thing. So what we saw early was a team, without Lavelle Broadnex, those first few games, they were kind of feeling their way through it. Then we saw Lavelle getting healthier, and we've seen Lavelle's confidence really build as he gets that little bit of a knee injury behind him and is back almost to full strength, it would appear. 3 straight double-doubles. He's been a different player the last few games. And that in that stretch too, you also lost Dylan Diaz, who was in the starting lineup to open the season, lost him for 5 games. You lost Micah Castor for 2 or 3 games there in all of that as well. Well, now they're both back and healthy. You have Lavelle fully healthy. And now you add Io, and I'm not going to attempt his last name at the moment because it's in my head and I'm thinking about it, and so I'm going to mess it up. But the new guy on the roster, Iomati, he's fantastic. I think he's going to be really good because he scored 4 points, 1 rebound. He had only been around the team for 48 hours before that game. Flew in from Nigeria last week to get back stateside to play again, and just went in cold. Doesn't know all the offensive plays yet. Doesn't know what they want to do defensively. He just went out there and played ball. And so as he continues to grow and learn in all of this, it adds more depth. You don't have to play as many freshmen, as many minutes. And we saw that Saturday. Pashemek Hartman only played 3 minutes. Alex Uget Carrasco didn't play at all. So you get a guy who, while he didn't play much at Utah, and Bamishila, there we go. See, I got it. He really did a nice job of coming in. I mean, he was in those practices at Utah, at a Big 12, at a Pac-12 program, and got to see how it's done. Now he gets a chance to play. I'm really excited to see him once he gets in game shape and once he knows what's going on. So, it's a long answer, but we've really seen some different iterations of this team, and I think Saturday was the first step in seeing what full strength in 25-26 is going to look like. And if they play that way, they're going to win, I think, their share of Sun Belt games moving forward.
Yeah, Io, as you said, I didn't realize it was that close, that he had only been around the team 48 hours. 10 minutes of action, 4 points. Not the best debut, but not a bad debut when you're able to come in.
All things really considered, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, to think that he was back in Nigeria and had to get a flight back over to the States and do all of that. And, he couldn't be cleared until after the semester was over, so he couldn't play against Arkansas Baptist. But, to talk to Coach Cunningham after that one, he said he was on his way at that point, that, he's on the flight right now. Still couldn't officially talk about him yet because the semester was ending that day, but said they had another player en route, and good to have Io be a part of this. And, he's still learning his teammates. He kind of sat on his own at the airport on the flight back Saturday, but I think he's going to be a really big addition. You're talking about a 6'7" guy that can go in there and play the way he does. I mean, he was obviously recruited to Utah for a reason, so he's a good player, and excited to see him when he gets going.
Before we jump into these games, I think a guy that's maybe been lost in the shuffle and we haven't really heard too much about him. How's Coach Z doing? I mean, Derek Zimmerman coming into the season was kind of the hype of, man, we basically had 2 head coaches, and, everything he was able to kind of manifest last year when he was the interim at Louisiana Lafayette. Where's he been? And what have you seen from him as you're looking across the way at the bench?
Coach Z is awesome. He's one of my favorite people around this team. He's such a good dude. And, it is kind of like adding that second head coach, like you said, because he's been in the fires. And not only that, but I mean, he played for Coach Cunningham. He's been around Coach Cunningham. He knows what he wants. And so that helps. I mean, that helps this whole process go. And he's just good at that relationship with the guys. Coach can get kind of intense a little bit at times, and Coach Z is kind of he doesn't have to take on that role of being, the fiery guy. And I think I kind of see him being a little bit more relaxed and whatnot. And, Coach Cunningham can get on a guy and he kind of builds him back up a little bit. They got that balance going on, it seems like. So, but it's fun. He's actually sat behind me on the bus the last couple of trips. He's got his Nintendo Switch out playing Mario Kart on the bus. That he's not one of those guys that's just staring at film the whole trip and whatnot. But man, it's so fun to have him. It was a huge pickup because this team, I mean, as you know, Dusty, there's great high school basketball in the Monroe area, and he provides a great connection to that. And you see that by getting Christian Lewis to come back home and be a part of this too. It's so big to have that. And I know some of those guys, they want to get away from home maybe a little bit, but let them get away from home, but establish that connection that if something doesn't happen when they go away, let them bounce back, let them come back home, have a place to go. I think it's so big to have Coach Z as part of this to help embrace that local part of this.
Richie Riley down at South Alabama. We'll get to see him there on Wednesday when he brings his Jaguar team to town. I feel like he has kind of unlocked the magic of the portal, being able to go find all these NAIA, D3, D2 guys and somehow get them to gel together as quickly as they can. They've kind of cooled off. They did the losers of 2 straight, but 8-3 early on with 4 guys scoring in double digits. Peyton Law averaging almost a double-double. He was a guy that was playing last year for Freed Hartman in the Mid-South Conference. I mean, how does he kind of do that, do you think?
Well, first of all, the good news, and it's bad news because I don't like that a player's hurt, but the good news for ULM is that Peyton Law is out for the season. He got hurt against East Tennessee, hurt his knee, he's done. And so they won't have to face him, at 12.8 points per game coming in. But you're right, 116 games in his career, counting the 10 he played this year at South Alabama. That's a lot of experience. Talking to JT Crabtree, their play-by-play guy, last year, and I haven't talked to him about this year's bunch, and I will Wednesday, but last year he said this is a 0 NIL team. They don't pay anything in NIL. And they have mastered the art, like you said, of going and finding those hidden gems in the NAIA, in Division II, and those guys want that Division I opportunity. They're hungry for that. They want to prove that. They're great basketball players. I called games in the NAIA for 5 years, and I went to a Division II school, and I called games for a Division II school for a couple of years. There's great players at Division II, and some of them just get overlooked. Some of them, maybe there's something else, whatever circumstances they may have. But now with the transfer portal, they get a little more visibility. And South Alabama has had so much success with those guys in the last few years. I've jokingly called them the D2 NAIA All-Stars because that's essentially what they've become. And it's a formula that worked. I mean, they won a Sun Belt championship last year. They would have won it outright had ULM not swept them last year, which is still bizarre to think back. The ULM finished last in the Sun Belt and swept first place South Alabama. So, this is a team that, like you said, I mean, go up and down the lineup here. I mean, Faulkner, Life University, Lenore Rhine, Freed Hardman, Rockhurst, another Freed Hardman, British Columbia, that's U Sports, it's Canada. Then they do have a couple D1 guys, Chattanooga and St. Francis on there. But they have done such a great job of finding those guys, looking for that bigger opportunity and coming together to show out. I want ULM to win, but that's probably the team I pull for behind ULM in the Sun Belt because they are a bunch of guys just scrapping and clawing, and they're playing for how it used to be done anyway, for the love of the game. They're not collecting that NIL paycheck, and that's a fun team. They play that aggressive 2-3 zone that gave everybody except ULM fits last year. So, and I think they still play that this year. It's going to be an interesting matchup, I think, but especially they're still trying to figure things out now without Peyton Law. So that's really going to play a big role in Wednesday, I think, and maybe ULM catching them at the right time. I don't know. We'll see. Would be nice to start 1-0 in the conference, but they won the league last year for a reason. I feel like they're loaded up and have the ability to do that again this year. So got to have if you got a chance at them, you got to take it. And hopefully the Phil Cunningham era starts 1-0 in Sun Belt play.
When you see some stats that kind of jump out at you, I know you can always take stats and make them good or bad of a team, but Chaz Harris for South Alabama, 6'6" guard, great size, love that about him. 32 turnovers already, Mike.
Yeah.
Is that some of the competition that they've played, or is that a guy that is maybe a liability when he's on the floor, but that talent is just there because he's one of the guys averaging double-digit scoring?
Yeah, it really looks like, I haven't watched a lot of ESPN film on them yet. That's kind of my process coming up Tuesday. But Harris is a guy that, by the stats, would appear to be the point guard, 5.1 assists per game. So 56 assists. Yes, he's got the 32 turnovers, but 56 assists to those 32. To me, it feels like he's a guy that is aggressive, and sometimes you take those turnovers. He's making plays, and sometimes the turnovers happen, but, you'll trade it off there. But you're talking a guy that was a first team, like we said, these are the NAIA D2 All-Stars here. First team NAIA All-American last year at Life U, where he averaged 19.7 points a game, nearly 7 assists per game, put up 38 points against Thomas last season. And then he played at Shawnee State prior to that, in another NAIA school where he's a first team all-conference pick. A guy that's kind of been through the grind. And so I'm excited to see him. Like it's, the turnover numbers are high, but man, he's got a lot of assists too. And so he's clearly going to be one of those dynamic playmakers that he's looking to score, but he's also looking to distribute as well.
Making it through the Jags, you then get to bring home the in-state rival. Because, of course they're not a rival, because why would they be a rival? According to their fan base there. But 1-10. And arguably, Quantus White, I like the guy. Like when I saw that hire happen, I was like, damn, they're about to just dominate this league. And I knew that they were not going to be as good as they had been in the past. But I didn't see 1-10 was not in the cards. When you kind of look at that Cajuns team, what do you see as kind of their struggles?
I mean, from a team perspective, it's got to be offensively. They have really struggled. I mean, they're only averaging 56 points per game. You're not going to win a lot of games at 56 points per game. And they're kind of, like you said, Quantus White was kind of the hot name for a mid-major job this last cycle. And, it really felt like they would be better than 1-10. I'm not quite sure. I know they're missing a couple of key guys in particular. Let's see, that's Jamron Keller, I think. I haven't gotten into their pronunciations yet. But Keller coming over from Oklahoma State. Only played in 2 games, and he's been out ever since. So that's one that hurts. A guy that had a lot of Power 4 experience. He played in the first 2 games of the year, hasn't played since. He had 21 at Ball State in their season opener. He had 13 against Southeastern in their second game of the season. And he had some big games at Oklahoma State. He had, I believe, an almost 30-point effort against BYU a couple of years ago. So they're missing him. They're missing some other pieces to that, I feel like. So, just to look at their stats, they have guys that have only played, 1 game, and it was back in the season opener. So they're really hurting a little bit, but they're looking for that identity still. I mean, they've tried a lot of different starting lineup combinations. Dorian Finster is the only guy who has started all 11 games. They have, let me see, like quick count here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different players have started at least 2 games for them this year. So that tells you in 11 games, they have started 11 different guys at least 2 times. They're searching. They're still searching for that identity. And it's going to be interesting to see them Saturday because I don't know, whenever the Cajuns come into town, you hope that's not their get right game. You hope that's not the time they figure it out and it all clicks. You're hoping that ULM, if they fall Wednesday to South Alabama, that's their chance to be 1-1 going into the little bit of a 2-week break here before we get into the heat of it. But, looking back through their schedule, their win over Southeastern is not a bad win. I mean, Southeastern's pretty decent, but the rest of their losses, I mean, Ball State, they matched up with in the MAC Sun Belt. Tulane's got a decent team. McNeese has got a good team. They went on a West Coast road swing, lost at Stanford, Santa Clara, UC Davis, lost at home to Jackson State, and I think that's the one where maybe some folks started to panic a little bit, but Jackson State's a good SWAC program. And then Lamar is a good Southland program. UNCW.
We saw that.
I mean, yeah, we saw that. We saw Lamar, and then they lost to UNCW and they lost to Louisiana Tech. I mean, when you go in and look at the schedule and what it is, maybe 1-10 isn't as surprising, but I certainly thought they'd be better than that. But they've played a good schedule, so I don't know that this is going to be as easy as we hope it is on Saturday. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm expecting to get their best shot on Saturday and see what this has. But would be nice to get one at home over them and then get to play them again in 3 weeks down in the Cajun Dome. So hopefully getting them early pays off for ULM.
And we won't get to see him Saturday because he is taking a red shirt. But there's some guy named Olajuwon.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know how to say that name there, Mike. But I think that's pretty cool because I want to say that he has another one coming also for next year as well, an Olajuwon or someone like that he's kind of getting that old Phi Gamma Slamma team back together again.
Yeah, that's I think really cool, and it's like you said, it's disappointing that he won't play. But yeah, when you got that kind of lineage and whatnot, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's unfortunately won't work out for us to see him Saturday. But hey, if you can tap into that line and they got a lot to live up to, though. That's for sure. So we'll see how that works out.
It's always football season there, Mike. Were you surprised by the Heisman Trophy vote that it wasn't Diego Pavia?
I think, I think it was, I thought it was going to be Fernando the whole way. I really did. Especially after they finished undefeated, they beat Ohio State. I thought Pavia was probably number 2. I think if Ohio State or Indiana had lost along the way and then and then won the Big Ten championship, so they weren't undefeated, then maybe Diego sneaks in there. But I mean, you got to take an undefeated power conference, especially Big Ten or SEC champ, their quarterback, and the numbers that Fernando put up as well. That he was pretty impressive this year for sure.
And I don't know about you, but I'm turning in the maroon and gold right now for the purple and gold, but not that version. It's definitely for the other 3-letter university.
Oh, okay.
JMU.
Yes.
How awesome is that though? That it's one of us. Not only that it's a G6 representative, but it's a Sun Belt team that is in the playoff and stirring the pot.
I love it. And I really hope they can pull it off. I know they're up against it going against Oregon. And same for Tulane. I hope Tulane can pull it off too against Ole Miss. I'm all for the little guy doing it. But really, I'm all about JMU because I think the Sun Belt and JMU have been disrespected in this whole process. Everybody keeps attacking, does JMU deserve to be in this? Their only loss is to Louisville, and they gave Louisville everything they wanted. They didn't have multiple Power 4 games on their schedule this year. They had the one, took their shot, fell short, but now they get another chance. That's a great program. They're a great representative of the Sun Belt. Too many people, far too many people, and the national media still look at the Sun Belt as the bottom conference in the FBS. And we all know that's not the case. If that were the case, why is Louisiana Tech coming to the Sun Belt? Why did Southern Miss and Marshall and Old Dominion come to the Sun Belt? People still look down their nose at this conference 25 years in, even though it's radically changed. And so this is a chance on the national stage for JMU to go and try to change that narrative a little bit and get it done. Very cool moment for my guy, Dave Riggert, the voice of the JMU Dukes. Dave is from I believe a small town in Nebraska, about an hour and a half from where I grew up. We were both sports directors at the same radio station in Kansas, a few years separated from each other. And I've known Dave for about 20 years at this point. And so really cool for him to have that moment and get to call that. I am extremely jealous because he's gotten to call into the second round of the NCAA tournament, and now he's getting to call a college football playoff game. He's living the dream. He's living the dream for sure, and he knows that, and certainly pulling for the Dukes to go get it done. I think every Sun Belt fan, regardless of what school you're for, you got to be pulling for the Dukes to go win this thing at Oregon.
Yeah, I got to get their fan base even more insufferable. I mean, and that's exactly what it would be.
I know, but you know what? we could use another TV share out of all that. And, there's good to be had. We can just silence, the mute button's good on social media.
Yeah, my algorithm's so messed up, I don't even see most of it anyway. With that said, it's also getting closer and closer to baseball season. Had a chance to catch up with Ford Pemberton. What's your take on his inaugural season?
You know what? I honestly haven't dove into them too much. I had a chance. I got to go to one of their inter-squad scrimmages. The rest were always at times that I couldn't make it, whether it was, being on the road with football or, shuttling my kids around here and there, one reason or another. But I'm excited looking at the roster anyway to see what they've brought in, to hear the rumblings of what they may have on the mound, what they may have added to the lineup. Anytime you got a new coach, there's always that optimism that this is going to be the one that they turn the corner. And, to put it this way, Coach Pemberton's coming in a spot that is much better than what Coach Fed had when he took over, and the way Coach Fed had elevated this program and left it in much better shape than he found it. And so now you have fresh blood, fresh life coming into this program to try to take that next step. And so I'm excited to see it. That is January's project when I get back after the first of the year, get through that first weekend of Sun Belt games with Southern Miss and Texas State. I'll start taking some time that week to really break down the roster and start getting out to their workouts and try to be out there as much as I can to get to know those guys, because there's the key guys that are back and there's a lot of new faces that are going to be big time contributors. So I think they did a nice job of retaining the guys they wanted to retain and filling the gaps where they had to, whether it be transfer portal, JUCO, high school. I think they did a great job. So I'm interested to see how it all comes together. I'm excited to get to know those guys a lot better here in the coming weeks.
They do not leave the state of Louisiana for the first month of the season, Mike.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. I love it, especially during crossover. Now, the only problem is they do go to New Orleans, which is basically like leaving the state.
It is.
That's a little far down there. But otherwise, I love it because it makes it easier for us to cover on the radio standpoint. And, hopefully I'm having to send Josh to Arlington. And as much as I would love to see my guy Josh Sowers, the voice of the UTA Mavericks, that last week at a non-conference play, I would love to still be in Pensacola calling some conference tournament basketball that week. So hopefully I don't make that trip to Arlington, but that's the first time they go out of state, and then they come back home for the next about week and a half after that. So this is, I think, a schedule that you got to take care of some business early. Texas State at home, at South Alabama, go to the Cajuns. But your East Division foes, I was thinking about this the other day, Dusty, who they drew from the East. You miss Coastal, you miss Georgia Southern, you miss Old Dominion. Now, Marshall got a lot better last year, and you still got App State, you still got Georgia State in that mix. But and you play JMU at your place. Those are 3 series you got to take care of business, and 2 of them are at your place. So that's a big advantage for this group. And, I think they have some help in who they missed from the East this year. So it'll be an interesting run here for the Warhawks to go out and see how they measure up, because Sun Belt baseball, don't sleep on it. That's they won't get recognized as such, but that is a power conference in baseball. That is a really, really good league. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Coach Pemberton and his staff have shaken this thing up to see if they can get in that mix and go to Montgomery so I can go hang out and watch baseball all day and pop in and call a game here and there.
It's funny you talk about the Sun Belt being a power conference in baseball. It kind of circles back to our conversation of football, where people like, have they ever been successful in any sport? And then they show a flash of R.J. Hunter hitting the shot, the miraculous shot in the NCAA tournament. And then you see, I didn't like it, but the what was it, 2015 national title of Coastal Carolina when they were not in the Sun Belt yet.
Right, yeah.
But then the runner-up against LSU, and, it's like, nope, they've done nothing.
Yeah, that's the thing. This league is pretty dang good. And And you can't forget, too, I mean, I know it's before they were in the league, but, Marshall men's soccer won a national championship, and now they're in the league. And this league does some good things, and football it's not the worst conference in football. They're up there, and depending on, once this next round of realignment happens, they're going to be challenging. They're going to be challenging for that top spot in the group of 6. I really believe that. So I don't know that the national media will ever give them that credence until maybe JMU goes and wins a game. Maybe JMU goes and wins 2 games. Let's not get crazy, but, somebody's got to make a push and do something, and why not the Dukes?
I love it, Mike. Any good stories there from the road this year already in basketball?
We've been pretty calm. I was apparently the only one who had their fire alarm go off Friday morning in Miami after we got in at 2 a.m. 8:45, the fire alarm went off in my room and woke me up. But and I said something on the bus, and everybody reacted like, "Your fire alarm went off?" I was like, "Yeah, like yours didn't." So it's like I was on the 2nd floor, so if I was going down, you guys are further up. You're going down too. But yeah, it's otherwise been okay. South Beach was fun. They loaded the guys up, and I think we were out there for maybe 15 minutes. That was it. Go out, get a picture by the lifeguard stand, and let's go. And that was about it. So fun trip. Thankfully, no delays, nothing crazy. We made it back. And hey, let's play Sunbelt basketball. Let's get after it and see what this team has.
Love it. Good stuff as always there, Mike. Appreciate it. And look forward to hearing you on the call this week.
Thanks, Dusty. Anytime. I feel like I'm on this more than Chase at this point.
Well, maybe we'll just have you and Josh on full time, and we'll kick Chase to the curb.
There you go.
Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Bleav, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.